Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen. Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
And what if you fuck up?
Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
I'd be pissed scared I'd get a boner or fucking fart or something.
Man, this is live. Anything can happen.
Shut the fuck up, man. You're making me nervous.
Welcome to the toy room. Why did I say toy room? It's because I was looking at Scott down here and I saw Toy Guru. Welcome to the junk room. I should be just saying that. We are back here. We're doing something special tonight for the live stream. We're going to have the Toy Guru in here. Scott, who you may know, is Spector Creative on YouTube. He's got a lot of inside information about working for the toy industry. We'll talk with him about that, but it's going to be more of a Q&A. We're going to try to talk about why the stores are so empty. I've done a video on it. He's done a video on it. He's got the experience inside the toy company, and I've got some experience dealing with the selling side to Walmart and Target, although mine is not toy related. Over the years, it's been different companies, and I find that most of it, you're dealing with the same thing no matter what you're selling. If you're trying to push a store manager and to give you more space, get an end cap, project margins and all that, they love to hear that. It's basically about the same thing. Now, see how many people we got in here today. We got Edward. I see some of the same old originals and some new people. Got Megapod. Now, coming up Tuesday, I will promote this again real quick. Coming up Tuesday, we're going to play Jeopardy Live with Robert Meyer Burnett. That should be a lot of fun. Let's make sure again. Okay, but if you got any questions, I'm going to try to hit them all. If you send a super chat, I'll make sure I'll see the questions and I'll be able to get it to you. If you're on I got this running on two streams, on the live stream, the Junkman live channel and the regular channel. I only can take super chats on the original channel right now, on the main channel. So if you want to send a super chat, that would guarantee a question, but I will try to catch them in the chat also. Hopefully you guys got questions. If not, it's going to be a really short podcast, a lot shorter than I thought. But we'll talk with Scott a little bit. And Wednesday, I got another interview coming up with a toy designer I think you guys will like. And no, Juan, I'm not going to ask any questions about Mission Fleet. And also, before I say it, I got to say it. I know there's some drama going on. Trying to not talk about any of it. Please do not bring any drama-related questions into the questions, please. And monitors, be prepared for that, because there's no reason to bring all that over to the YouTube channel. It's gotten even crazier than I thought it ever could, and I'm steering clear as best as I can from it. But let's bring Scott over right now. Yes, Joseph. Robert Meyer Burnett is cool, and there should be a great trivia game, Jeopardy. He knows a lot of stuff. So, I don't have any good introduction video or anything to bring him on, so we're just going to bring him on. I'm going to give him a rundown of who he is. Here he is, Scott, the Toy Guru. There's his face.
That was
I have people like, I've never seen him.
I don't
there
have
you go.
Animation like the way you do.
You'll get there.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love I don't get the opportunity to talk toys with other people as much because I'm sitting doing this in my office, and most of my clients aren't dealing with like collector level toys. So thank you so much. I'm like really excited.
I think it should be a lot of fun. Like I said, we're going to try to stick to, we can go over the board of different things, but I'm going to try to stick at the empty pegs. But tell them a little bit about your history, because I've had some people ask in the chat room.
Oh, yes. Like, who is this guy and why is Junkman talking to him?
Yeah.
Good point. So my name is Scott Nightlick, pronounced Nightlick, like 2 words. I've been in the toy industry for over 25 years. A good chunk of that I spent at Mattel. I was with Jakks Pacific for a while. Did a little bit of time at Jada, just enough to create the Nano line there, if you're a fan of that line. And after about 22 years or so, essentially a refugee from California, and found a better place to raise the daughter and have a life in beautiful Greensboro, North Carolina, which is where I am now. And out here, I started a consulting firm, Spector Creative, where you can see more about us on spectorcreative.com, where I work with a variety of clients, some in the toy industry, some in any industry, essentially individuals who have ideas for product, already have product, but need to help bring it to the next level. And I do everything from content development, branding, retail development, planogram development, helping them, helping individuals or inventors take ideas and get them to market, essentially. And a lot of my clients are toy related, and I have a lot of experience in that arena. And then last year, when we were all locked down due to the 24-hour Ebola, I started a YouTube channel, mostly just because I wanted something to do with my time. And I thought it'd be a good way to promote my business. And here I am a year later, and Spector Creative on YouTube. It has daily videos with insights into the toy industry. And I basically, a lot of people like Junkman have great videos on YouTube exploring, different mysteries of toys and histories of toys, reviews of toys. I think what's different about my channel is I try to, since I've been in the toy industry and I've worked for large companies, give like sort of the rationale behind why things are the way they are, or at least provide, a lot of people will put out speculative information, and I try to at least say, well, it's actually more like this, and this is why it happened. So check us out on YouTube, and that's it. That's me. And I'm a big collector too, because that's the other thing. It's like the hair club for men. I'm also a member.
Well, it must be good to be in the toy industry and collect at the same time. You got first dibs on everything.
That was basically why I stayed so long. I was basically working for toys. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, I think I need to move on, because there's only so long you can do that. But yes, I did often get first dibs. I usually actually wound up with like the crappy first shots that didn't work and the paint was wrong, because
that's even better.
Yeah, those are the ones. Those are like the samples that are floating around the office, are the ones that are like the the early test samples. Getting an actual production sample was like not as often.
Yeah. Okay, you did work on the Masters of the Universe line, didn't you?
I did. So when I was at Mattel, people out there in the internet world may know me from working on Maddie Collect, which was Mattel's sort of like HasLab. Hasbro has their sort of collector portal now. This was Mattel's about 10. I think they shuttled in 2015-ish, but it ran about 10 years. And kind of one of the flagship brands was Masters of the Universe Classics, which was a 6-inch collector line. And because it could be a collector line, because it wasn't sold at retail, it was only online. It was like a figure of the month club, is what we did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we also had DC and Ghostbusters, and we did some Back to the Future hoverboards and some other stuff. And I also ran all of Mattel's retail DC stuff, like DC Universe Classics, the Green Lantern movie, Superman Returns, some of those Dark Knight movies, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll get into why the pegs are empty, but I want to tackle this one from your side of it, because I'm going to say it's pretty low. And that's, what do you think the percentage of collectors in the toy market is? Now, I'm not going to talk NECA, because I know that's probably aimed more to collectors. But when we're talking just action figures, I think a lot of people from talking, especially from the video I did on why the pegs are empty, that there's a lot of collectors out there, but I don't think there's as many as we think. I think we think there's a lot because we're surrounded by it. That's who all we talk to. We know a lot of them. But I don't think there's I don't think it's 60% of the sales or anything like that. I'm going to say it's pretty low, about 10%, but it might be higher. What do you think?
Like you're talking like what percentage of sales, like things like a Marvel Legends or a Black Series figure are going to collectors?
Yeah, just anything you find in that action figure aisle, not just the regular Star Wars, Marvel.
So
and how many are the collectors versus kid sales?
So there, I mean, all right. So if we were going to take something like just like say Marvel Legends, right? 100% of the sales online, well, not 100, but I'd say like 85% of the sales online are probably to collectors. Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, even Amazon to some degree. In the aisle, it's more like 20%.
Okay.
Because it basically there are not enough. I mean, like you said, we're surrounded by this stuff. We love this stuff. We're so passionate about it, but it tends to skew our perspective a lot. And I mean, I can tell you because I know the quotas we used to do. There's definitely way fewer of us, even just in general, out there. I've heard some people throw out like there's 100,000 collectors out there. Not even close. Like that's not even like, you'd get thrown out of Vegas so quickly on that number. A good way of illustrating the point is I once had Mattel, I had our analytics department look at a fan page, like a forum page for that we were interacting with. I mean, not run by Mattel, but run by a fan site, and looking at all the posts over a 30-day period. And, how many, there were like, 2,000 posts, let's say. I mean, there were definitely multiple thousands. And of the 2,000 or 3,000 posts, there were only 28 individual posters. So that kind of shows you how like the internet tends to make things louder than they are numerous. And we think that we're like this huge force and we're running the toy industry and, we're the future of the toy industry, that kind of thing. Did you freeze up? Did I freeze up? Looks like you might have frozen up. Does that mean I'm frozen on your side? I don't know. I can talk. I can still talk, but I can't see Junkman. I assume I'm still live. Am I live? Should I do like a little show? Hi, I'm the Mandalorian. I'm Boba Fett. Let's go on an adventure together. Okay. Shh. Not even close, right?
There he is. Okay, I think he's coming back in. Okay, there you are.
Okay, when did I freeze out?
I don't know. It was on my end, but I saw. We'll just start. We'll just move on.
Okay. Well, the point is, it's a much smaller. Adult collector is much like the overall number of us out there, and at retail, it's a kid-driven aisle. So. Yeah.
I don't even think the toy. I don't know. I mean, you probably know the data more. The action figure aisle compared to the rest of the toy aisle, I don't even think it's that major. The way I look at it, I don't think the toy companies care that much about action figure section until about Christmas time. So that's probably when they see their highest volume, isn't it?
And it's not necessarily the volume. The action figure aisle for a toy company is essentially a licensor relationship aisle. So, your Marvels, your Disney, your Paramounts, they have their big action figures are more or less movie merchandise, these days, promoting, content and for the most part, films. And action figures essentially exist to promote content. So, someone like Disney who owns Avengers or Star Wars, they want toys in the aisle because, and especially big box stores, because they're getting such huge amounts of traffic from the public, and toys hanging on an end cap or in an aisle, it reminds them that, oh, there's a show on, streaming, or there's a new movie out, or Netflix, or whatever, Disney Plus. So they're really there to promote the content. The money with the toy industry is toddler toys. I mean, if I was running a toy company, I would only be making toys for young children. There's no money. I mean, the money is really not there, but you can get in order to get a license like Star Wars or Batman or Power Rangers or whatever, you kind of have to agree to do action figures, and then you'll also get like the other categories and, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So let's hold on just a second. Just see if there's anybody got any questions. Just gonna check the chat real quick and see. It's going kind of fast, so I might have missed some. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Scott, how come Mattel hasn't embraced the face paint technology?
Oh, like what Hasbro does with the the painting. You know, I wish I could answer that, because that happened after I left Mattel. That even Hasbro started doing that. So why Mattel doesn't do that, like with their, you know, He-Man figures or Jurassic World or something, I don't know. I mean, they do use scanning now. Like they use Gentle Giant for their WWE figures, but I don't know. That would be a question for Mattel, unfortunately.
I'm sure it's coming down to money somewhere. That's usually your reason for everything, isn't it? Let's see here. How does empty Star Wars pegs affect Hasbro stock in the stock market?
Not at all. Zero.
Not at all.
Zero.
So yeah, that's what I keep hearing, that they're losing sales because it's empty. And I said they rather have it empty than have overstock.
So the quick answer to that one, and I've done a few. You've done videos on this on your channel. I've done them on mine. Essentially, big box stores require all pegs to move 1 unit per week. So if you have a case pack of Star Wars figures, you have 8 in the case pack. That's 8 weeks worth of sales. If those sales happen in 10 minutes or 8 weeks, it doesn't matter. They've still hit their sales goal. And while you might say, you know, well, okay, but, you know, can't they either replenish, or doesn't this show there's more demand? You get more sales by having more pegs, not by putting more figures on the same peg. So if you have 2 pegs for Black Series, then now both of those pegs are selling 1 unit per week, or 16 units, you know, in 8 weeks, or whatever. Right. So, you know, that's why you see, like at movie time, if you remember back when Attack of the Clones came out, I remember that there was literally an entire aisle of Target of single basic figures for Star Wars.
Oh, like, yeah, it was flooded.
It was like 6 feet of, and so every single one of those pegs was selling 1 figure per week. That's how you get more sales, is by getting more pegs. It's not by putting more figures on the peg. So for people saying, well, aren't they losing money in the stock when they've got empty pegs? They've already hit their sales goal. So it's like they've hit their sales goal, check. That's great. We'll ship you another case in 8 weeks.
Yeah, I got you. Makes sense. Yeah, that's why I was trying to explain in my video. They care a lot about that space more than they care, you know, about that space full. The only problem I have is I know from selling to managers at Walmart managers hate seeing the empty space. It drives them crazy because it makes them look bad. So I'm sure they have to be getting some kind of pushback from at least Walmart.
Oh, I mean, you know, of course they want to fill them, you know, but in the sort of the analogy I use a lot is take, you know, any other aisle, like screwdrivers or scented candles. Nobody comes into the scented candle aisle when they put out a new case pack and buys the entire case pack. That's a behavior that is specific to not just the action figure aisle, but now you've got to drill down to specific brands and specific pegs in the action figure aisle. Because there's plenty of pegs in the action figure aisle that don't sell out in a case pack in one customer visit. And, you know, I see Wild Bill here got scalpers. Like, yes, with scalpers, it's more like merchandise redistribution. They're basically taking them from Target and moving them to eBay and charging a premium price for their time and effort. I mean, I'm not justifying them. I'm just explaining it in economic terms. So, like, yes, a scalper can come in, buy an entire case pack in one visit, and now there's empty pegs for 8 weeks because they've hit their sales goal for that peg. And they've hit 8 weeks worth of sales in 1 5-minute visit. You know, yeah. Is it a problem? Yes, but it's all. The reason is there's no Toys R Us anymore. There's no KB. We lost toy stores. We didn't have this problem when we had toy stores. Now all of the product is going to big box stores, which has this not policy, but it's it's how they manage merchandise. So, blame Bain Capital if you're going to blame anyone.
Yeah. It just seems overall too that kids are, I mean, it too, kids are moving away from, at least they're getting out of toys at an earlier age. I know when I say kids don't buy toys as much, I hear people say, hey, my kids still buy toys. Well, I think when I was little, and probably you too, we would play with an action figure to about 13 or 14. And I don't think I think you cut off way before that right now if you're even buying them anymore.
I mean, video games were the first big stab at that, in the mid 80s and 90s. And now screens are like the second, big knife wound to that. And yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I used to play with toys all the way into my, early teens. And now kids like give them up at 6 or 7. So yeah, we are definitely way fewer kids.
And it seems like the ones that do buy action figures, they're not as, it seems like they just buy a couple of action figures. When I was a kid, I had to have them all. And all my friends, you had to have them all. Now it's just like, I got 2, I'm okay. And then they moved on. Now when you're probably my age, I mean, when we were kids, I meant, a movie would come out like Star Wars or whatever the summer movie was. And that was it for that year. You might have 2 big movies. So your whole, you wanted all those toys for that year. But now it seems like, well, except for the pandemic, every 3 to 4 months, there's a new toy line, there's a new movie. So it's hard to keep kids invested, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I did a video on my channel called how binging affects fan base, and the fact that there's so much stuff, there's so much content coming, we don't have enough time to create a fan base anymore before moving on to the next thing. So right. Everything you just said, totally right. So I see this question from Super Awesome Geek Show. Why aren't toy runs like any other department in the stores? They're never out of Scotch tape or screwdrivers or candles. But actually, I think kind of what we just said 5 minutes ago, it's because nobody comes in, and when screwdrivers are like, you get a case pack of screwdrivers, let's say there's 10 in a case pack, and they put them on the shelf, nobody comes in and buys all 10 because nobody collects screwdrivers. Well, I'm sure somebody does somewhere, but not the way people collect Mandalorians. So that's why, because it's a buying behavior, and we collect action figures. And also, if you think about the way they're distributed now, like Marvel Legends, you have to buy every single one to get the Build-A-Figure. So if you have a collector who wants the Build-A-Figure, they're going to buy the whole case pack. Or like with Black Series, if you want, the whole Bad Batch, like the whole crew, right, or troop or whatever they're called, you have to buy all of them. But if you need a screwdriver, you just get a screwdriver. You don't need every single color of the same Phillips head. It's a buying behavior that doesn't exist.
Yeah. See if I get any more questions over here. Let's see. People panic buy toilet paper. Is that similar on a temporary scale?
The answer. How's this work? Do you go first? I go first. Sorry.
What's that? Oh, yeah, I was trying to think. Whoever can answer it first.
I was doing a Kylo Ren joke, or a Poe Dameron. Do you talk first? Do I talk?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting. I think with adult collectors, and I'm one of them too. I mean, so is Junkman here. Like I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about us included. I've absolutely bought things because I bought this Boba Fett. Right, I bought the 6-inch. Deluxe Boba Fett. I wasn't going to get this. I already have a 6-inch Boba Fett. I bought the one at Comic-Con years ago that came with the Carbonite Han, and that's like all the 6-inch Boba Fett I needed. But I saw this hanging at my local Target, and there was one on the pegs. It was 3 in the afternoon, and I totally impulse bought it because I was like, oh my God, I might never see this again. And I'm really glad I did, because it's absolutely now one of my favorite Boba Fett figures, if not one of my favorite 6-inch figures. So yeah, we impulse buy. I don't think we like hoard one figure like toilet paper, but I think that we do buy things we might not normally like are part of our collection just because we see it and it's rare. And I'm like, oh my God, I better buy this because I might never see this again. I don't know. Have you done that?
Right. Oh, no, yeah. Or about honestly, there have been times where I've hid them in the store because especially in the 90s when I couldn't, my pockets, when I couldn't afford something, I'd say, hey, hide that, get it. But
All right, is it
Um,
cheaper for Hasbro to tool and manufacture for the retro line because they can use old tools? Great question.
yeah.
So the short answer is it is cheaper to tool the retro line, but it has nothing to do with the use of old tools. Tools only last 3 to 5 years. So when we're seeing the retro line there, like actually here, I've got Luke right here. So we're seeing, so here's our retro Luke. This is a fully new tooled figure. This is not the old Bespin Luke from when we were kids. In fact, actually. Okay.
I don't even think they use, I don't think they use the same mold or anything.
So here is my Bespin Luke from as a kid. Oh, see, like his joints are like so loose now. And here's the retro collection one that I bought last year. So come on, Luke, stand up. Use the force. This tool is long gone, like long gone. So this is basically a copy of a copy. It is less expensive to make this versus, say, this vintage series figure, because this figure has more deco, more articulation, therefore more parts. So the more articulation, the more parts, the more expensive it is to tool. This figure only has arms, legs, head, and chest. That's it. This guy's got upper arm, lower arm, hand, head, backpack, lower leg, upper leg, crotch, chest, lower chest, feet, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the expense comes from.
All right. Okay, we got a super chat. Love both of your channels. I look forward to your videos. Thank you, and hopefully we can get Scott on the Jeopardy one night.
Yeah,
he's a busy man.
Yep.
And we'll test his knowledge of action figures.
I'll embarrass myself.
Well, I write the questions. So I don't have to embarrass myself. Well, I do because I spell something wrong. So
in the system, you write the questions.
Yeah.
I want that action figure so I could set up like action figure Jeopardy. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like you could have like
that's what we do.
Batman and
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
I'm in Greensboro and a lifelong Star Wars 3.75 collector. I love to meet you sometimes and maybe check out each other's collection. Well, it looks like you got a good collection back there.
You could probably find me at one of the many Greensboro Targets or Walmarts on a daily basis. So, oh no, I thought you froze up for a second.
No, I'm checking to see if I see any more.
Or Acme Comics. I hang out there a lot, as well as McKay Books.
Acme Comics. Okay. How's the comic book scene up there?
Okay. What I love about Greensboro, there's 3,000 people in this town. And in the vicinity, there's 5 comic book stores, like 10 Targets, 7 or 8 Walmarts, a water park, a dinosaur museum, and like 6 amazing used bookstores. So like I like those odds. It's like unbelievable like how much stuff there is here.
Well, that's good. We don't have anything. We don't have anything down here.
Where are you?
I'm near Atlanta. Well, I'm a little south of Atlanta, but Atlanta's okay. You just have to drive if you want anything really good. Hold on just a second. Just have there. I already got it pulled up. What is your thoughts on HasLab? More vehicles? Are vehicles not profitable? Yeah, that's a good question because you don't see play sets or vehicles like you used to.
So I did a video on my channel called like Where Have All the Playsets Gone? And one of the conclusions I brought up was it was a result of video games, because video games essentially cost the same amount as a playset back in the day, like about $50 or $60. But another interesting way of looking at it, like HasLab with the sail barge, for example, a very good friend of mine just called that a boat-shaped dollhouse. And I was like, yeah, that's a really accurate way of putting it, because it's basically a giant display piece to put all of our figures. And that's really what vehicles have become for collectors, is we don't grab the ship and go like what we used to do. Just put your shelf and you're done. And that's like Mission Fleet from Star Wars, I think, is capitalizing off of that, because it's really the cost. Because costs have risen, labor, raw materials. The last few playsets we've seen for lines have incorporated a lot of cardboard. Like the Ninja Tour sets and stuff. And Mission Fleet, I think, is a really good idea from Hasbro because the core play pattern for Star Wars is putting figures in the vehicles. That's the control for the children. And because it's so expensive now to make vehicles for 3 3/4, they've basically created a new scale that they can afford to make vehicles for, more or less. So, it's definitely a good move as far as product that'll appeal to kids.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. How about see what else we got?
I hope I'm not doing too much of the talking.
No, I mean, I wanted to bring you on more than me, and you got the more of the inside. I said about everything I could say too in my video, so
By the way,
I wanted you to answer most of the questions anyway. Yeah, they are. I mean, he bought one for $80, a Star Wars vehicle, and when you do see a vehicle or a playset, they are really, really high.
Yeah,
they're really out there.
This one, right? Is that what he's talking about?
Oh, might be. What else is the Walmart exclusive from the last? Is it? Oh, the last Star Wars. I thought you said last year. Last Star Wars we bought was Big Wing TIE Fighter.
I wish the
Forgot
wings
about that one.
they just pop off more. I wish they'd stay on, but yeah, I know they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're expensive to tool and produce.
Okay, let me see here. Great to hear from you. I'll put some.
It's great to be heard.
Okay, here is the new 3.75 Joes. Okay, just letting us know they do have some vehicles. What do you think about the action figure market? You think it's going to move more to online, and maybe that toy aisle will shrink down some over the next few years?
Not necessarily. No, I mean the short answer, no. And it's for what I mentioned earlier, that action figures are marketing tools for movies and content. So they exist as long as there are superhero movies and space movies and action adventure movies that can be promoted through. Think of action figures as the same thing as a billboard. They just happen to be hanging at Target. And that's what keeps them around, because like Disney or Warner Brothers, they're almost going to require a toy partner to make action figures as part of an overall license deal, because they want to be hanging. People who say like big box stores shouldn't have action figures anymore because they can't replenish them. That's not why they have action figures. They have action figures because the licensors want billboards, action figure sized billboards hanging in the toy aisle. Because when you bring your child to a big box store, they whine and they cry, and you need to get them to be quiet so that you can go get scented candles and screwdrivers. You bring them by the toy aisle, and whether or not they're buying a $20 figure or just getting a $5 Shut Me Up toy, they're going to see the $20 figure, and that's going to remind them that a new Avengers movie is coming out, and now the action figure has done its job.
Right. Yeah, that's why I said in my video I talked about before is, especially I know Walmart's layout plan, that's why they like to usually put stuff moms buy near the toy section, because a lot of that toy buys, if it's not Christmas time, is impulse buy. They do a lot of business in the impulse section.
Yeah, we in the toy industry, they design toys specifically for the impulse price point, because they know that you need to like a $5 toy is worth making it through a 1-hour trip to a store.
Yeah, and they want mom and dad. They want mom to walk to the garden center, or dad to go to the tool section. Usually, you're gonna pass toys.
Yeah,
that way that little kid can see it.
Toys are literally right between garden and tools.
Yeah, I mean that's why when I worked for Coca-Cola, that's why you go into a gas station, the drinks are in the back, because they want to feed you down that candy aisle. They want to feed you down that candy aisle, down the other aisle before you check out, because I mean, all the stores are planned out. Walmart and everything's all planned out. They know where they want to route you through that store. Let's see if I see any more here.
I need a pen.
Let's see here. Wish I had lights and sound. I had one for you. I just lost it. What do you think the most profitable action figure line is? I think right now Fortnite. Well, it depends on what you mean by profitable, maybe, but
Yeah, I mean, like we're talking about, like what's the best selling or what's bringing in the most money.
yeah, because I've looked at the company that does the Fortnite, and their sales each year has been skyrocketing, and that's about they don't do too much. They don't have a whole big toy line like Hasbro and Mattel. They have so they're mostly focused on that Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean that's doing well. I know, Imaginext is still continuing to do well. I don't know if we consider that an action figure line or not.
Yeah,
I mean, it would by our strict definitions, but it's sold in a different aisle. Yeah, I mean, Marvel still could. Star Wars is honestly doing very, very well. We look at Star Wars and we tend to just see Black Series or Vintage Series, but you have to remember the Star Wars action figure retail footprint is much bigger than that. It includes Mission Series and Baby Yodas and like those impulse buy Baby Yodas that they have in the little bin on the shelf. Like those sell really well. Like we might not be buying them, but that's a perfect example. So Star Wars is doing very, very well. Marvel is doing very, very well.
Yeah, that's why you can't. I've seen people judge Star Wars sales because the pigs are too full. I went through a whole year of that nobody's buying Star Wars because it's too full. And now I go through a whole year of the shelves being empty, and everybody tell me the stores don't order Star Wars because they can't sell it. So either way you go, they're gonna tell you it's not selling. And that's I keep hearing stores don't order anymore. I mean, you used to have a store department manager go through and order how many cases you want, but it's all automatic. At least from everything I've seen, it knows when you scan out a figure or scan out a sale, maybe not just figure, scan out something, it usually automatically knows, hey, we sold a whole case of that, so it automatically orders a whole nother case for it. I'm not too sure. I don't think Target has like an order department manager either anymore. Do you think some of the movie time?
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just saying Walmart does it, yes, like the way you said, where every time it's scanned, they know. With Target, it's just on a peg case pack replenishment. So every 8 weeks, hypothetically, they should be getting a case pack of 8 Marvel Legends for a peg.
Right. Do you think some movie tie-ins had an effect on the current toy poor state of the toy industry? For example, Ghostbusters remake a few years ago is seen unmockable for kids. And I will say that probably this year, 2020, with no major movie to really promote, they probably didn't ship out a lot of toys, at least action figure wise, because didn't know when they were going to get the movie was going to get released to tie it to. So I'll see what you think about that.
I mean, it definitely there have been action figure movie tie-in bombs going all the way back. I mean, Star Wars changed everything. But I mean, look at everything from Waterworld to oh gosh, what was that arm wrestling movie that Sylvester Stallone did?
Over the Top.
Over the Top, yeah. I mean, that had action figures. Last Action Hero, Men in Black, Pirates of the Caribbean. All of these lines have had toy tie-ins that totally tanked at retail. So it's the same thing like with movies where it only takes one blockbuster to make back all the money that a studio loses on all the other movies. So
right,
it's like your Endgame and your Infinity War make up for whatever else tanks. So it's like it's always been like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a series of videos where I look at failed movie toy lines, and almost every movie toy line, at least in the 80s, almost all of them only had one series of figures. I mean, of course, you got Star Wars and Ghostbusters and a few other, but most of them did kind of 90% fail
and like never have a fan base after that, so we don't think about them.
I read an interview with the president of Kenner, I think it was in the early 80s, where he talked about even not just action figures, that most toys that they develop and come out with don't sell. They fail, and they quit making them within a year. It's very rare for that toy, the last 5 years.
Oh my God, the last 2 years is like,
yeah.
Like even people with Motu Origins now, like being like, I'm ready to collect like the entire, world of He-Man in Motu Origins. I'm like, I don't think it's going to last more than another 6 months. I mean, not because it's poorly done, but just most toy lines don't. especially without content, without a hit movie like Avengers or Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in the 80s, you would have action figure lines that wasn't even based on a movie, TV show, or anything that could take off. But I don't even think since the 90s, I don't think I've seen a successful toy line that's not based on something else.
Let's see. All right. Lord Gaelic. I live in Lithia Springs, Georgia. Why is it I can never find Wave 2 or 3 of Motu Origins? Square, 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 cry, 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 cry. Okay. I don't know what the squares mean, but
that's a little person. I don't. On my end, I see a guy doing this.
Oh, really? I'm just seeing squares on my end. That's funny. My computer must not be able to handle those GIFs. All right. So, okay. So actually, I did make a video about this on the Spector Crave channel. If you like search my channel for like Origins Wave 2, there's a group at toy companies, and I'm actually it probably exists at all companies. I'm sure it does. It's called Demand Planning. And that is the group at a large company that is in charge of making sure finished goods ship out. And they don't care where they go. They don't care if it's Wave 1, Wave 2, if it's pineapple scented or a screwdriver set. Their job is to get the product the hell out of the warehouse and into retail. So what happened with Motu Origins is because Mattel made that an exclusive line with Walmart in year 1. Any store when they set a line, which is called, they order about 40 to 60% of their entire year's quota up front because they need that to set the planogram, because the planogram is empty, doesn't exist. So to have a full set of toys on it, you need to have a huge order. So Walmart orders a giant order day 1 in order to set all of their what are called doors, all their locations. They're referred to as doors. And I think Walmart has something like 4,000 doors in the US, but I know not all of them have Origins. Let's just say it's 3,000 for argument's sake. So they have 3,000 doors. They have to order a giant order in order to set the planograms for all of these Walmarts. So now as Wave 2 comes out, they have inventory in, and they can't ship it they can only ship it to Walmart in the US, but Walmart has plenty of stock. So International comes along, and they don't have the restriction that Mattel has in the US, where they can only ship it to Walmart. Outside the US, they can ship it to anyone who wants it. So Wave 2 is sitting there in the warehouse. Orders are coming in from International, and Demand Planning sends it out. That's why you hear about England and France and Greece or whatever getting Trapjaw and Scareglow and Wave 2 figures. So Wave 2 basically filled all the international orders. Then Target comes along and places orders, and they get Wave 3, as well as the full case packs of He-Man and Skeletor, because those are the ones the kids should be buying in a perfect world. So so that's basically, it's because Demand Planning is just pushing the product out to whoever can take it. It's not being allocated based on who needs what wave, just who needs the assortment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm getting an echo. Is anybody else hearing that echo?
I'm not.
Okay, well, I'll go on then. I will bring up the Wonder Bread, because you solved the mystery of the Wonder Bread He-Man. And I was going to do a video on it, and I said, well, ain't no need to do a video on Wonder Bread He-Man now.
Yeah, that was insane. That was not expected. I was just basically, since I started the channel during COVID, I was, at home all day, and I had fewer clients at the time because people weren't, looking to do marketing. So I just started going through all paperwork I had. And when I did the He-Man coffee table book for San Diego Comic-Con in 2009, I was basically doing that in my spare time. So I had photocopies of a lot of stuff. And I just, literally just like, all right, going through this. And I found this one piece of paper that it was a letter responding. I'd never actually flipped it over and read it. And I did. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I read the letter, and I realized that what the mother who wrote the letter to Mattel was describing was the Savage He-Man. She was basically saying a special edition version of He-Man that had no force field armor and didn't have his signature weapons. And that was way before Faker. It was way before Prince Adam. I also found further evidence later on in the sales pitch that Mattel made to the retail buyers, where they talked about a ninth mail-away figure that was in development. So putting all the clues together, I was like, oh my gosh, I think like this, I mean, I obviously know what this is talking about. Like, have we actually solved this mystery? And yeah, it was like a happy accident, but that was really cool.
Yeah, because if people don't know, I mean, it was going on for years about what this figure is. Some people say it was just a He-Man figure that had a black chest plate. As far as I know, the figure, for the paint on it, is a little different.
It didn't have
years.
a plate. So it was basically He-Man with brown hair and black boots and a black belt, instead of having blonde hair and a yellow belt and red boots. And so essentially what it was so Mattel did a promotion of buy 3, get 1 free. And they mailed out this figure as the free figure. And having been in the toy industry and at Mattel, I know that when promotions like this are run, they want to fulfill that free slot with the cheapest possible figure. So it makes total sense that they would take the existing He-Man, strip him down, remove the arm, just give him a different paint job. So instead of blonde hair, he has brown, because that's the second most popular hair color, statistically. No offense to blackheads or redheads. And then further, they had existing accessories from Castle Grayskull that came with the weapons rack, cast them in red plastic. I'm extrapolating, but again, based on experience, they probably had a bin of these accessories. They instructed their pick and pack facility to grab one naked He-Man figure, 2 or 3 accessories from this bin, and ship them together, and there's your free figure. Well, after this letter from this mother who was irate that the figure she got was just another version of He-Man, she expected she'd be getting, a Buzz-Off or a Whiplash, like something a brand new figure she'd never seen before. So she complained. And I also know from experience from working with management that they kind of freak out when these kind of things happen, because the last thing they want is bad press. So this letter basically, because it got forwarded all the way to the president of Mattel, was like, okay, stop production of this figure. Just let's ship out for whatever remaining, entries we have for this redemption. Just ship them whatever's in stock of like finished goods. So give them a Beastman or a Skeletor or whatever's just in the warehouse. So that's also why the figure is so rare, because they made it for a promotion that then gets stopped halfway through. So now they're stuck with inventory of Savage He-Man and these red weapons. Well, what do? Well, these red weapons mysteriously showed up with Manny faces for no reason, because he was the next figure in line. So they just said, they don't want to sit on inventory. They can either destroy it, which also costs money to destroy it, or they can just ship it. So the solution was ship it with the next figure. And then the Savage He-Man most likely got distributed to local in-person events, because you could see what you were winning as opposed to it being a mystery. So that's why people have memories of like getting it at a Kroger or a, like some kind of like local grocery or something, because that's probably with it, because they had to stop shipping him. And that's why there were so many stories over the years where I remember getting it this way and I remember getting it this way. So, it's a little extrapolation, but I think balance of probability, that's the answer.
Yeah. Well, it was good to have it solved. Like I said, it went years while people debating if it was even real, if it wasn't real, if it was just a custom, and somebody said it was. I mean, I don't know how many of them out there, but it was for years debated. What's that?
I thought it was a fake for years. So
yeah, I thought it was fake, and then I would hear stuff, and then I would change my mind. I never knew. In fact, I knew a guy that had one in the '90s. I would meet him at a toy show every now and then. I was like, that don't look right to me, so I didn't pick it up. He wanted like $70 for it. So I wish now I grabbed it.
Put your kids through college.
Yeah. The Indiana Jones toys were awesome, but not good sellers, I guess. Maybe because people don't like the movie. Well, I know every time they've done an action figure line of Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, Raiders, Temple of Doom, they have Tank. And I don't know if you want to give me your thoughts. When it comes to Indiana Jones, I always seen kids like to play like they're Indiana Jones. just wasn't market, just wasn't a good toy that kids wanted to play with. I don't think, because every time they do it, it seems like it fails.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually tried to pitch to do this at Mattel. It was one of the ways I got put in Matty Collector. So yeah, I mean, one, yeah, obviously Crystal Skull being a piece of dreck didn't help.
Yeah, that didn't help any. Yeah,
but Indiana Jones is not toyetic. He does not have a signature vehicle. He does not have a signature weapon. I mean, yes, he's got a whip, but he's also old. And kids, I don't mean old like physically, like he's got gray hair.
Yeah.
It takes place in the 30s. And for the most part, and I know people bring up He-Man, but kids like futuristic things. Like they don't like pirate guns. They like Han Solo's blaster. And Indiana Jones uses like old technology, if you will. He drives around in a Jeep. He has a horse. And it's fun to watch, and it's fun to play out, but it's not fun to take your little figures and be like, here I come to save the day, I'm Indiana Jones. Like, it doesn't translate to that play pattern well. And, there's no aliens, there's no robots. The bad guys are just like guys in suits, more or less.
Yeah, there's no aliens, there's no real good. I mean,
I guess technically there's aliens in that last movie, but
yeah, in the last movie,
but not the kind of there's no Greedo shooting first. So
yeah, I mean Belloc's in like a business suit and the figure, and there's just not much you can do, outside of the recreating the movie when you're playing with it. There's not much there you can do. Do you think the vintage Star Wars decrease or increase in value over the next several decades? I was thinking about that today, talking on Twitter about that, because in the 90s, I heard that was it. The vintage stuff's not going to be worth anything because of the new figures. And then after Revenge of the Sith, I heard Star Wars toys were going to die. The old stuff was going to decrease. And now I'm hearing again that the people like us that grew up with it. But I don't know about you. I think Star Wars is as popular now as it was in 77. So I don't see that vintage market. I mean, it might decrease a little, but I don't see a bottom falling out of it.
And I assume by vintage, we're talking about the original
figure.
The
Kenner,
as opposed to the vintage line or the retro. There's like too many words. I think, there's a reason that I still have my Bespin Luke, yet I still bought, the new retro one. And, for our generation, this was such a breakthrough toy line. And a big part of that was also because there were no VCRs back then. I mean, that was 77. And so if we wanted to play out the further adventures, it had to be done in our basement or our backyard. And, that doesn't happen today. Today, they'll just binge it over and over again, or et cetera. So it was a very special time. It was, in imagination, in play. And I think that there's always going to be a market for these. I think there's going to be more of a market for these than there are for these. Or for
definitely.
I think the true vintage toys are going to always go up in value.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might see a dip when people that grew up with them died, but I think if Star Wars keeps going in proper, there's going to be Star Wars fans that want the old stuff, because one thing I like, they look like toys. A lot of that new stuff looks too much like models,
and they don't even the news. I mean, look at like the new Disney movies, 7, 8, and 9. When's the last time you saw any merchandise in any category for those?
Yeah, I mean, you might see them right when they first popped up.
Like,
and even the Mandalorian. You would think if this was the 80s, Kenner would have had almost every alien in the Mandalorian as a figure by now. And what they do, the 4 basic figures, and that's it.
Well, the problem with the Mandalorian is it's riding on the coattails of 5 failed movies, and it's like fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 5 times, I don't believe in the brand anymore. So here comes Mandalorian being the first successful Star Wars content we've had in 10 years, but it's literally following up on 5 straight failures. And I know, oh my God, I can't even think of the name of episode 7 anymore.
Force Awakens?
Force Awakens. God, that's how like much it's not been in my conscience. Yes, Force Awakens. Thank you, God. It made money in the box office, but mainly because people were excited there was a Star Wars movie like Phantom Menace. But all of the merch, I mean, the fact that you don't see Rey or Finn or Poe or Kylo Ren on anything, T-shirts, backpacks, toys. Like, plus Disney knows from Disney Plus now because they know exactly what you're watching and how much you're watching of it. So
Yeah.
They know no one's watching 7, 8, and 9. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into that because I see the chat room already. It's like, a lot of people love them, a lot of people hate them. So, Scott, how do toy companies handle customer service stock? Is there a percentage of figures that are held back from being sold just to address customers' complaints?
Not necessarily held back, but it's more like there will be product that's like, allocated for customer service replenishment. Matty Collector was a thing all to itself, but for like regular stuff, but they're not going to like hold every figure. So for example, actually I did this. I had, when I got my She-Ra Motu Origins figure, she came with the wrong sword. I did a video on this on the Spector Creative channel. And so I called customer service and I actually recorded it and put it on the video, me calling them and saying very kindly, like, I got my She-Ra, she has the wrong sword. I'd like you to please send me the sword. I mean, I knew they wouldn't, but I just sort of was playing with it. And they basically said that they could send me a Origins figure, but they had no idea which one it would be. And that's basically how it works. It's like they don't have a bin of She-Ras or a bin of her swords, but they might have 10 case packs of Origin figures sitting there. So if you have a problem with Origins or whatever toy line it is, there might be 10 case packs and they'll just grab one. So you're not going to get that figure, but you'll get an equivalent of that assortment.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see, I had another one for you. I lost it. Are you a fan of the recent retro Star Wars, Marvel, MTU, and Master Universe? I'm drawing a blank. And what are your favorites?
I mean, I do like the retro line. With Star Wars, I only buy classic trilogy. I mean, I have a few prequel things here and there, one Kylo Ren somewhere. But I'm all in with the original trilogy, especially 3 3/4. So, much like this Luke that I've now held up 5 times, like if it's 3 3/4, whatever the style, I will buy it. And I like these. But I find that, like, even little details, like the fact that this one has blonde, mine had the brown hair. So I don't have as much emotional connection to this one. I even found picking it up, I'm like, and it doesn't totally feel the same in my hand. Like I can, the tactile.
Yeah, you can tell when you touch it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it feels like in multiplicity, it's like a copy of a copy. I like it. I think it's absolutely a clever, fun way of collecting. Marvel Legends. Let's see. Can I spin this around here? Let's see here. There's my Marvel Legends collection there. So I get X-Men and Spider-Man villains and a few others, but I'm mainly like all in on 90s X-Men and Spider-Man villains. And then Motu Classics was basically, I have a complete collection of Motu. I don't need a second one. I bought a few Origins figures, mostly to review and just answer questions that people had asking me about them. I bought Tila, Skeletor, and She-Ra. They're all cool. I like them a lot. I love the lack of deco works really well for them because they feel like toys. I think if kids were into Motu, these were toys for them, but they're not. There's no content out. And like the new stuff, like the Revolutions figures coming out, I feel like look like just larger Origins figures. Like there's no deco. It's just the same thing. Yeah. So we'll see with content. We'll see if kids get into the brand, but I already have a Motu collection. Like I don't need two, full, like I was very hesitant to get into Black Series because I was all in 3/4. I do have some like with that Boba Fett, it's like,
I pick and choose when it comes to Black Series.
Yeah, I'm a cherry picker with Black Series, but with 3 3/4, I'm all in. So, same character, 2 different scales.
Yeah. Well, usually when it's Boba Fett, I'm going to grab it anyway.
Well, it's Boba Fett. What are you going to do?
Do you think Hasbro dropped? I think we kind of touched on this. Do you think Hasbro dropped the ball not having toys ready by the time Mandalorian came out? Of course, they probably missed some sales with Baby Yoda, but I can understand they didn't even want anything to get out about Baby Yoda. So, the toy companies wasn't given much to go on when it comes to that.
It was like a double-sided knife where, on one hand, they wanted to keep the storyline under wraps, which is different from how they did the other movies where, companies. I mean, I've worked on toy lines where we've done everything from gotten the entire script to getting to walk on the set and, sketch things and take photos to only getting bare bones reference material. So there's no rule for how much material you're going to get. With Mandalorian, they wanted to keep it secret. And I don't think it was keeping it secret that made them lose sales. I think it was 5 failed toy movies. Again, it's like when you have 5 movies in a row that underperform as far as the toy aisle, the toy buyer and the retailer is like, okay, this brand is not hot anymore. Let's move on to whatever's next.
Right. Well, I've seen this touched on a couple of times, and that is toy companies. I lost it. Toy companies. I lost whoever said it, but toy companies, they rather have the buzz of something being sold out than having it at the stores, and that just don't make much sense to me. What do you think about that?
I mean, like this, they'll, if someone really wants it, they'll still want it once the stock is back in stock. It's like, and if they've sold out, again, it means that they've hit their sales goal. So a sellout is a good thing because they've hit their sales goal, whether they hit it in 1 hour or 8 weeks. It still checks that off, and that's the way big box stores work. That's why we needed Toys R Us and KB, because toy stores didn't work that way. And the big reason, again, you're seeing all of this is because we're only getting toys from big box stores now. Again, blame if you want to blame anyone, Bain Capital. I mean, they torpedoed Toys R Us.
And blame, I'm guilty of it too. How many of us walked into Toys R Us, loved it, and said, I'm not paying those prices for the toys, and then we walk out and leave and buy it somewhere else? I've done it a many of times. Let's go. Master Universe Origins went from direct to customer line and suddenly back to retail. All was tied in entertainment, and that doesn't seem to be hurting it. That seems about right. I don't got much I can touch on that. You?
Well, I think Motu Origins was never direct to consumer. I think he's talking about the brand, because Motu Classics was what was direct to consumer. It's saying that. So, I mean, it's not doing well at retail at all. I mean, the fact that, He-Man and Skeletor is piling up is not a good sign. Because a retail line should be being bought by children or gift givers, moms, parents, grandparents, people buying for a gift. I know kids don't have their own money all the time. So the reason He-Man and Skeletor were shipped so highly is because if anyone was going to buy any figure from Motu, it would be those two. That would be who you'd start with. And kids aren't buying that because kids don't know the brand. The marketing behind the brand, you can tell Amazon has a great image. If you go to any of go to Man at Arms and you click and you'll see there's multiple images and you scroll down, one of them, and I've used this image in a few of my videos on Spector Creative, it's a dad playing with a kid. Well, it's obviously an actor dad playing with a kid actor. And it's funny because you can so see in his eyes, if you took someone like you or me and you put us in that shot with playing with the toys, we would be so excited and you would be able to feel the energy. And I look at this shot of this actor playing with the toys with a child actor, and you can so tell it's fake and there's no emotion there. But that's what the toys are meant to be. It's meant to be dad or mom who grew up with the toys, who now wants to buy them and play with them with their child. Not collect them for themselves, but get their kid to have the same fun they had. And that's not working. Yeah. It's clear it's not working. I mean, I think Origins is really more of a placeholder brand for Revelations and the new CGI show, because they wanted to claim space at retail. And once you sort of have it, you could say, okay, Walmart, Target, Meijer, whatever, we're going to switch over from these figures on red cards to figures in boxes, but it's the same peg. that you've already given us. You know, like, thank you for giving us that peg. We're going to get it going again with something new and exciting that should see sales pick up.
Yeah. What about they cost $18? If they were $8 when we were kids. Now I've done a video where I compared the prices when I was little, those Kenner toys and stuff, to toys today, and then use the influence calculator to see, and they are about on par, believe it or not, if you take in inflation.
Yes,
so you think toys are too high?
You know, I mean, I think we're about to see major inflation all over the place based on what's going on. But yeah, you nailed it on the head right there. It's the toys are the same price, you know, based on inflation.
Yeah, I was surprised because when I made that video, I said, okay, I'm going to show how expensive they are now. But then I started adding it up, and I was like, well, damn, it's maybe $2 or $3 at the most different, you know, when counting inflation.
I'm going to definitely check out that video on the Junkman channel.
Check it out if you haven't, because I pulled up all the old ads so I could make sure I get the sales price for them, and then compared them to today, and they were closely about the same. Do you think toy company figures? Do you think the toy companies can figure out a way to get kids to want action figures again, or do you think they should focus creating new adult collectors? Yeah, I don't think they're gonna.
There'll never be enough adult collectors to support.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I mean, a small company like Super 7 or NECA, you know, fills that niche. But yeah, I mean, I think this is something companies have been struggling with, trying to find ways to get kids into action. And Mission Fleet is a perfect example. Or what Hasbro did with the, like a decade ago, they had the figures that had like swappable arms and legs, like for Marvel and Star Wars and a couple other brands, like mashups, I think they were called. You know, so they're throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks, because they know action figure play is an inherent play pattern. It's really parents. Parents have got to like stop letting kids use screens all the time and say, go play. And
yeah, go outside, go play with something.
Right. A lot of the problem is with parents who are like, they'd rather just be occupied staring at a screen than sit down. Like that shot on Amazon of the fake actor dad playing with the fake actor kid with the toys. When's the last time you did that with your child? Ask yourself. You know, you want to see kids playing with toys? Get down on the floor and start playing with the toys with them. Like, I used to do this with my daughter all the time when she was littler. She's like a preteen now, so now she's just into like makeup and boys. But she wouldn't want to play, right? She would just want to watch TV. So I would come and I'd just take the Legos and I'd dump them out on the floor and I'd start building. And lo and behold, 5 minutes later, on her own, she would turn the TV off and come and start playing. She's like, oh, that looks so. Parent your child. That's the key to getting kids to play with toys.
That's true. I'm going to finish. I'm going to give you a couple more, then we're going to get out. We've been an hour in. Why don't toy companies embrace independent toy retailers? It's straight up a numbers game. I'm sure it's like anything else. You want to touch on that, Indy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. It's politics. It's, you know, I mean, you know, it's sort of like they're going to go to Hasbro and Mattel and Spin and Jax first because they have better distribution capabilities. And, you know, they usually have the licenses that the big box toy companies are going to be into. If you look at the independent toy companies, you know, you know, Spy Monkey, you know, doing Amazing Heroes, or Plunderlings, you know, with Bad Coconut, there's no IP behind any of that. You know, we all think Plunderlings are awesome, but if they're going to sell Plunderlings into Target, there needs to be like some kind of content behind it. Like if there was sudden, like, look at Angry Birds, right? That like nobody wanted it, but then suddenly when the content goes big, now they want it. It's all about content, and Hasbro and Mattel are able to secure the content better than independent toy companies. That's really what it comes down to.
Right. Let's do one more. I still wonder how NECA gets away with their QC. I'm not sure what QC is. Maybe quality control issues for so long, and don't lose faith. I guess it pays to be doing lines no one else is doing. It also, I think, NECA, a lot of people don't take them out of the box, or they just put them on the display.
Yeah, like I have only a handful of NECA figures. Like I don't know if you can. I've got a Marty McFly back. I don't know if you can see it. It's like on that shelf. But yeah, he just sits there. I took him out of the box, put him on his hoverboard, and put him on my shelf, and I haven't touched him since. So that's why.
Yeah.
Like NECA make statues more or less. I mean, yeah, they're articulated, but they basically make display pieces. They're not play toys.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we're done. Yeah, I think that's it. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. But it's been an hour, and I want to keep you all day.
Well, this was so much fun. I love talking toys. So
yeah, hopefully we can do this again and get you on the Jeopardy show. I know that's kind of hard because it's locked down to a time, but we do trivia every night. So even if it's not an action figure, we do pop culture, we do Star Wars. So hopefully one night we can get you on for that, or we just come back and maybe I can come over to your channel and talk toys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I would love to. I got to figure out. I've never done one, so but I'm sure I can't imagine it's that hard to figure out. So yes, I would love to have.
Not StreamYard.
Yep, and yeah, as soon as my daughter's at summer camp this summer, it'll be much easier for me to do like Jeopardy and stuff like that. So yes, absolutely, we'll be in touch. Okay,
I want to thank you again for giving me the time, and we'll talk soon.
All right, bye everybody. Keep buying toys.
Bye. Whew, that was fun. That was Scott, the toy guru from Spector Creative there. Got a lot of good questions. They are fine. NECA Alien Predators are fine. But we're going to get out of here, guys. Don't forget, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we will have a daily video. Tomorrow night at 7, Star Wars Jeopardy. Yes, you heard me right. Star Wars Jeopardy. Tuesday night, Robert Meyer Burnett. Poindexter's Lounge, and a couple others would join us for trivia. So that's going to be a lot of fun right there. I'm just trying to find my video so I can end this one here. Okay, guys, that's it. We will thank you all for the super chats. It means a lot. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we will see you tomorrow.
Say my name.
The Junkman.
You're goddamn right.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.